Yeah. Since we out to come in Cameroon. Yeah. Right, where your cameras? Yo, back home and I need picture. Back home I need picture.
Those that have the program, you will see that the program is I was saying that those that have the program, you will see that after the opening Marota, it's Advocate Marota who's gone and overview for the event. There's been a slight change in the program. So after the opening, we will have the SG.
What's happening here? Yeah?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
It's a big pleasure to welcome you all today to this event. My name is I welcome you all to this public lecture commemorates the 1959 political boycott that happened in the country, wherein
You still need the jack. I'm still not getting audio. Oh, we don't control the audio.
From various communities, various political organizations, the communities of Malanga. An economic war was staged against the apartheid government to stop and fight the atrocities under which black farmers were living. My name is I'm not going to talk. Mine is just to welcome and just to ensure that everything is on the positive plan. We are behind time. So what we are going to do, as stated earlier, the program has changed. We will do the opening and welcome, and then from that we will then do the international the Secretary General can take the podium and give me lecture. For housekeeping purposes, to my right hand side, at the far end, where you can take the toilet if you need to go and do yourself. So, without further ado, I present Professor Dube come into the opening and welcome on behalf of the Forum South Africa. Sangonani, good evening. Sangonani, how's like we are coming alive. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, mine is very, very short. Mine is to start by acknowledging the presence within our midst of various of our opponents and invited to be with us. We have in our midst the Secretary General of the Presidential Congress, Mr. President Malula. We have in our midst Mr. Hesaf Koga from the Koga brothers that we have invited with us to that part. They are from Peter Relief from Kayabamla. And then we have the Executive Mayor, Mr. W. Ngomezulu, the very Mayor of Katimande, President Parity. And of course, we have Advocate Kaput Moluta, who is our host tonight, who brought us together here. If I have forgotten to mention anyone's name, I apologize in advance. They are all important to us at that forum. We are glad and happy that you are with us tonight in this gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to commemorate the 1959 potato boycott that happened in Mpumalanga. When I think about this, I remember a blog post that was once written by President March, which was from Congress, and she said, we have so many holidays in South Africa, and if you look at them closely, none of them are really about us or about affirming us. All of them have the one injustice of the other. We do not have a holiday that says this one was founded solely to celebrate the nationals, to celebrate
how well the cameraman is doing. Watching how we're doing. Yeah, cameraman.
Basically, using some of the best psychology, affirming what was done to us. We are here tonight because something was done to our people. But what we are going to take away from tonight is that our people rose together and realize that if it has the means of production, we will cause the system to come to its knees. It's the only way you can bring them to book. It's the only language they understand. I will not dwell much on this. Mine is to open and then welcome. I will be as short as possible because we have people here who are extremely busy. They have to run from here to other problems. I will not therefore drag this any longer. I will thank them for coming and I will thank you all for gracing us with your presence. I thank you. Back to regular programming. The program will resume as stated before. I'm also not going to speak alone. So, to the podium now would be Advocate Kapuli Moroda to give an overview of Black Forum South Africa and why it's commemorating
I need this kind of quality. From here directly to here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by first and foremost great our special guest
Kabuto namo.
and the keynote speaker, the SG of the African Congress, Tas, Mr. Ilfo himself, the fire eater, the translator, Comrade Winwood Babula, the ANC Executive Committee member, and the member of the local provincial.
Those who love him more, they call him Mr. I talk about Mr. Walter Muvezu, who is the chairperson of the ANC in Kapsiland District Municipality, and the mayor of Kapsiland Municipality. We have the deputy chairperson of the ANC in Angala
District, and the mayor, executive mayor of the district municipality. We have the deputy chairperson of the ANC in Angala province, municipality, well-rounded leader, Mr. Shomani, the spokesperson of the ANC in the same Kangala region in Mpumalanga province, MMC infrastructure.
Present here, leadership from Black Forum for this event and the credible leadership of Ms. Dane Matele and leadership of the organized labor, particularly Nehau, APSA, and sound leadership of the Municipal Student Association present here under the additional leadership of President Dona Sagwana, professors and academics, professionals from different industries and institutions present here. I see one of the executive deputy dean of the College of Human Science, Professor Mashao, is also here. Ladies and gentlemen, without I would like to greet you all in the high and unbreakable spirit of the Lebanese solidarity. Let me first and foremost seize this opportunity to pass our warmest gratitude to the organizers of this beautiful gathering of Black Solidarity and Prosperity Organization, Black Forum South Africa, and to the University of South Africa for having availed this great facility for us. Ladies and gentlemen, once Steve Biko said, black men, you are on your own, there was no Black Forum South Africa. Now, because there is Black Forum South Africa, black men, you are no longer on your own. We are in this important meeting of black men to reflect on our common challenges and on how to achieve our common goals as black majority in contemporary South Africa. We firmly believe that the time to reflect on black realities is coming, taking into account the reality that we have two different lives in the same country that has been dominated and however, we firmly that black people must free themselves from this existing post-colonial apartheid over as soon as we decide to do so. No one but ourselves. We must do it for ourselves and for generations to come so that we attain our own black self-worth or self-respect. All the races and ethnic groups in South Africa are so well organized to attain their own self-determination. It is only us, black bodies, black nation, being divided and remain weak in our majority. Ladies and gentlemen, America has a plan for us. Europe has a plan for us. China has a plan for us. It is about time we have a plan for ourselves as black people. The secret weapon is our black unity in our majority. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeking ethnic consciousness as black people. That is the reason we engage in this ethnic mobilization, using Black Forum as a vehicle, trying to be seen to a seat of a problem. there have been no systematic change. Black people still study to get employment, same economic domination, same history, same philosophy, same religion, which have established the present code of morals, a mindset a black majority has been brought under the control of white minority. My task is to provide an overview on the objectives of Black Forum South Africa and this commemoration of 1959 potato boycott public lecture. Be informed that Black Forum South Africa is a lobby group organization that advocates for black solidarity and black prosperity in democratic South Africa beyond political party lines. We strive to address our common challenges and achieve our common interests in order to attain our self-determination. We draw our existence as an organization from Section 235 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which states that every ethnic group or tribe within democratic South Africa could organize itself in order to achieve its own self-determination. Hence, we see extreme right-wing racial NGOs such as AfriForum and some impactful research institutes which are obsessed with protecting and sustaining white supremacy and white hegemony within the contemporary democratic South Africa. However, take further note that the Black Forum South Africa was founded by very few esteemed scholars and academics here in the University of South Africa in the early 90s as UNISA Black Forum. I talk about the College of Scholars and Researchers such as Professor Luka David Musoma, the current chairperson of the Commission of Protection of Rights, Culture, Religious and Linguistic Communities. And we talk about Professor Manta Makanya, the former Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Idumile Musala, the former Secretary of the State Capture Commission, Professor Dr. Motsa, the current VP Teaching and Learning in this university. We talk about Professor Takato Mufugeni, we talk about Advocate Jobotwana, Prof. Simon Sukwamani Maimela, Professor Lizo Jafta, Prof. Mokheti Motladi, Prof. Palagi Sebade, amongst other great college of scholars. But this organization was further inherited by chemical leaderships of Professor Puleng Lengabule, the current Vice Chancellor of this university, Dr. Mashia Sotigwa, the current DDG of the Department of Higher Education and Training, and Professor Kampumu Hajwa, who is the president of this organization. The key mandate of this UNISA Black Forum then was to advocate for transformation and Africanization of UNISA research and academic curricula, and to permanently dismantle the perpetual imbalances of the past between black and white colleagues. Our generation has inherited this great organization within UNISA and further caused irreparable damage on white supremacy and systems within the university. We subsequently realized that our model and formula of contesting, white privilege and emancipating black people have worked effectively within this university. We have then in 2020 decided to graduate Black Forum from being UNISA Black Forum into Black Forum South Africa. Black Forum South Africa is quite alive to the fact that, Comrade SG, we are quite alive to the fact that every sitting government in a democratic dispensation has or will have a job to govern South Africa for all South Africans and anyone who lives in it. That we accept. However, we realize that someone else must drive the black agenda. Black Forum has decided to be that someone to fill the void and drive the black agenda in this country. Therefore, we are not going to waste time to lament the inequalities of our society. We are instead going to use all our powers to equalize it. And our power is in our resolve, in our numbers, and in our unity as black people and black organizations. We will not be hindered by any political affiliation, religious affiliation, ethnicity, or class. Ours is the black agenda. Remember that as the black nation, we have made a huge mistake in 1994 to rely solely on government agenda and neglected a black agenda. Whereas white people were busy launching and capacitating white NGOs akin to Black Forum to advocate for and sustain the white agenda. These white NGOs are so powerful today to the extent that they are critical political feeder into the mainstream politics of this country and directly empower white political parties such as Democratic Alliance FF+. However, if black people and black organizations, black businesses, black political parties like the ANC do not rally behind Black Forum as the Black Solidarity NGO, our freedoms will remain hollow, our rainbow flag a threat, and our national anthem a thrilling. It is a fact that white supremacy, it is the fact that white system has established powerful NGOs to play a critical role in protecting and affirming the rights and determination of their own minority groups. Their aim has been to perpetuate the status quo in this contemporary South Africa and further frustrate, of course, the government and any progressive organization or individual who seeks to emancipate the vulnerable and disadvantaged black people. We never had proper NGOs, Comrade Dixon Masemola, which protects and affirms the rights of black people, or which seek to transform and eradicate the status quo and emancipate the dreams and hopes of black people in this country. Black Forum is here to close that gap. From now going forward, when Afri Forum will be inside, Black Forum will be inside. Ours is to contest white privilege, black on black violence, while we establish and maintain our own systems and institutions of value. In the same breath, we discourage this culture of having many political parties because whiteness thrives on one and the same method, divide and rule. They divide and rule the majority black people in this country. If they don't divide us like that, they put great black leaders on a leash. We saw what happened in the city of Tshwane when they agreed with a particular black body to be a mayor. When that mayor turns against them, because they are holding on the leash, they say no longer qualifies to be a mayor. They take out the skeletons. That's how whiteness actually thrives in this country. It needs to be said on behalf of black people, ladies and gentlemen, that Black Forum SA is not asking for more. To put it more crudely, Black Forum is first and the most not asking. If we are to ask, from whom will we ask? And who are we to be asking? We intend to take on all the respect, all the dignity, and all the economic benefits that are due to us as the children of this soil. Hence, we stretch our hands to black people for our own determination. We seek to contribute towards a sound and globally competitive black South Africa. Establish a society that is even-handed in all respects. Ensure economic justice, promote the general welfare of people, and secure the blessings of freedom for our black people and prosperity. What can Black Forum do for me? I hear someone is whispering to himself in his heart. What could Black Forum do for me? Of course, we can't repair the history. We can't reverse the wheel of time. We cannot repair the damage of centuries, but we can retain humans and people. And it is black people that require reparation through repairing the system that repress and continues to repress them. We can and we will repair the present and future of black people through intervening on their behalf. By fighting their battles, whether legal or at the workplace or business related. Otherwise, like we said earlier, our freedom to remain holy, they place a new threat in our national freedom. The aims and objectives of something was the measure of representation. The aims and objectives of this organization is to advocate the establishment of recently approach these institutions, our own children, and professors who are developing a full curriculum for our organization so that we no longer class our children for 12 hours to 8 hours under the care in local communities of white teachers. We are treating our children for safety. So we advocate for restoration, but over and above the establishment accredited black primary schools, we are also accrediting, through CETAs, so that we can provide, skills to less fortunate black bodies, maybe who could not attain their degrees or their retreat in the contemporary South Africa. So we advocate, the second objective is that we advocate for restoration of black cultural values, languages, institutions, and systems. As black people, we are shaped, of course, when coming to our culture. So black forum is going to organize the cultural institutions and groups so that they assist in organizing the black communities within this apartheid. So that we can bewitch the system which is making us not to move forward. To restore black dignity in the country to quality legal representation. This is the biggest division in the black forum, the litigation division, because there are a lot of atrocities and fair legal practices which are occurring and occurring within this country without a challenge. Actually, in this country, we have been accepting the fact that the system which oppresses us, white people are not challenged in this country. We celebrate time and time again when it is Abu Kibile Mbalula, Abu Dixon Masemela who are being challenged by the media, being accused of the wrong things or on some things, but we have never seen white bodies being challenged and exposed to the public on the injustices, on the crimes which are committing at the tip of the sentence. So Black Forum is here to expose them. So the litigation division of Black Forum, they are impact cases which we are busy with. We intervene in Brooklyn when we are killing and beating young children at the swimming pool. So we have to intervene quickly so that we restore and defend their rights. Another objective is that we advocate for solidarity of black people beyond land. Our struggle is common. We must stop this thing of being divided over the color of the children. As black people, we can differ, but after that differences, we are going back to the same squad, the same challenges which we are facing as black people. So we know we are the only race which is not united. We must be united. And I'm here to ask you here, in these objectives within this organization. We advocate for establishment for black economic emancipation and self-reliance. I can't overemphasize on this. We advocate for black unity and dismantling of black individualism syndrome. I'm the first black woman, I'm the first black this, I'm the first black there. We must come to hands and embrace one another collectively as black people. Because when we do that, we are playing in the hands of the system which strives through our perpetual relations. We advocate for sophisticated and meaningful professional skills development. I touched on this about CETAs. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we are behind the schedule, but we are gathered here because we are commemorating the most important, impactful and successful historical occurrence, a political program which was launched by the African National Congress in 1959, when the farm laborers in Bethal, in Mpumalanga, were subjected to the slave conditions. They were forced to work without putting on clothes. They would even put the sacks on their clothes to hide, to sustain their dignity. They would be sleeping on the floor during very harsh, cold weather conditions. West part, there will be more shamble at every single second, and those who were less fortunate will die. And after killing you, when they were killing them in that system, they would plant them as fertilizers. They would plant them as manures, as compost, because they were believing the white farmers at that time that when you plant black bodies in their fields and their farms, they nourish the soil, and then the produce will be very much fresh. What the guy was saying, the shape of potatoes in 1959 were similar to the body of a human being, because most of them they were coming from the flesh of a human being used as a compost. So that's when great leaders like Apartheid, and I would like to suggest that we should not forget about them. He had to sneak into those farms and check the reality and the hardships, the atrocities which the farm workers were subjected to. But also the prisoners were taken there to labor, to work at the farm so that they could kill them in that fashion. But those laborers said, how could South Africa move forward? When we are being killed, when we are being subjected as slaves, as if nothing is happening. So they raised their own awareness campaign by taking a skull of one of the killed laborers, packaged it in a potato sack, so that when it would be sold at the market, Comrade Mashomani could buy that potato sack. When he gets home, you find a human skull there. Obviously, call the police, and then that's how they raised an awareness. And then Comrade organized the nation for the national potato boycott. It took 4 months. After that 4 months, and then it yielded a very positive outcome, because it changed the speakers for the attitude at the mind, at the farms. Lastly, I've been speaking very fast so that I must catch up with time. But lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to emphasize this. As Black from South Africa, we are quite intentional about our key mandate of ethnic globalization and about Black people to achieve their much needed Black unity. This lecture is not going to end here. We are going to talk to the police. We've identified with the to talk, to come with a mediation program between farm communities, farm workers, and farm owners. So from here there will be other programs will be running across the country where these experiences I've just shared are alive and well. So on the 30th of September, Black Forum will be hosting a huge ceremony where we'll be unveiling the tombstones of some of the farm workers who have been killed by the farmers in Bitriti, in Bombisral, in Kondo. More specifically, the Goga family, whose brothers were killed by these white farmers. When we went to Kondo, when we went to Bambuskral in that farm, white people still have a torture room. If you could be found walking around that place, they will take you to the torture room. You will tell them why you want. But I'm talking about things that are happening now. How they killed the Goga brothers, shooting them at the private parts. when we were dealing with that, we realized that the Katolik brothers were taking the same side, that the white children, when they attain a particular age group, these white people are killing them so that they eliminate boy child, make a contestation as they believe from the community. They sodomize young boys to destroy them so that when they grow up, they should not even dare try to contest the atrocities which the white farmers are subjecting them to. They poison the cows of the farm communities. The 15 cows of the Tonga, they were poisoned. They do as they please. Government cannot give them RTP houses because these farming communities are dwelling on private property at the farms, and they refuse to relocate because the grandparents, that's where they were born and bred. So now, to us, this Black Forum SG is a matter of survival. Unlike our parents, who fought for an ideal, which it needs be, they were prepared to die for. Unfortunately, we are not prepared to die for this great Black Forum ideal. Black people have been dying. We can't always die as Black people in order to achieve a particular ideal. Therefore, unlike our parents, Black Forum is pushing for an ideal which, if needs be, we are prepared to kill for. Thank you. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I can't say much of that. To add on that, it just be spoiling it. But one thing I can say, and one thing I have taken away from it, is that indeed, 64 years since the Commemoration, the 1959 boycott, it seems like the lives, the ordinary lives of the farm workers and the farmers have not changed even post-democracy. And indeed, that forum, I think, is the most relevant organization right now to change that reality of the laborers and the farmers. I think there's an important position in society that forum can play. And its presence in this NGO space is one that is so important and one that is very, very critical. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the SG or the African National Congress, to introduce is none other than the philosopher himself, Dr. Dixon Masemola.
Well, thank you very much, Director of the program, advocates. Very good evening to my comrades and colleagues who are here tonight, who have just been introduced by Advocate Rota, leaders of various campus-based structures represented here by your good selves and your eminence. I would not want to speak to you one by one, but I can recognize a few faces that I'm familiar with. Leaders of the academia who are here representing various schools here in the university, and all of you colleagues and colleagues, a very good evening. I'm standing before you tonight to perform a very important task to this memorial lecture or a public lecture on what has been
place was available. To present your good selves, the keynote speaker for this event. But before I do that, Program Director, I suppose from what Advocate Neruda has said, Black Forum South Africa understandably, in my view, going forward, I suppose it subscribes to very important advanced nationalism, not any other matter in that context. And that in itself will make it more relevant to resonate with the founding values of our democratic system of government as a country, as a nation, and of course as a people. And understandably, going forward, there would be a need for a much closer discussion on how best some of those matters could find appropriate expression within the confines and features of advanced nationalism. Close quote. My task is to present your good selves, the Secretary General of the African National Congress. You are quite aware that in December last year, the governing party, the Liberation Movement, the African National Congress, had a very successful national conference, out of which, when it rose, it elected a leadership collective that is led by 7 officials, by the President, and as well as the Secretary General. UNISA, Black South Africa, Black Forum South Africa, is honored to have been able to secure the presence of the highest office in the ANC, the Chief Executive Officer, politically speaking, of a very big and old liberation movement in our continent that has played a significant role in many revolutions, not only on our revolution. And therefore, it is an honor and a privilege for me to present one of the known political leaders in the South African politics, a leader who emerged from the youth movement, who emerged from COSA structures, South African Youth Congress, a political prisoner who was arrested at a very early age, and I suppose by that time he was only 14 years old when he tasted the environment of prison. He soldiered on, and today he is the Secretary General of the ANC. Former Minister of Sports, former Minister of Police, former Minister of Transport, and currently the Secretary General of the ANC. As people of Blues are here, looking forward to hear your Program Director, Advocate Neruda, esteemed academia, scholars, and students, youth, and all faculties of great importance to this great university. It's a great pleasure and privilege for me to be here tonight. And I just want to greet you all and the leadership of Black Forum South Africa for inviting the African National Congress to be with you here today. As we gather here, we dip our revolutionary values
on the passing away of a giant of revolutionary struggle, human rights activist, Dr. Isop Pahat, who was laid to rest today. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Today, it is important to be here at Unison. And I think the first task of Black Forum, before you think about African Forum, is to defend the Vice Chancellor of this university. That's how you are going to be tested. Before you think about African Forum, start by defending the Vice Chancellor. Then you will know about your presence. I'm saying so because women who are appointed to these institutions, starting with UCT, a woman was harassed by Russia group who think that university belonged to them, and that an African woman cannot lead an important university like the University of Commemoration. He was harassed and nobody came to a defense. Now they are doing it here in this university. I've never seen black people and women standing up. They just been mad in the true sense of the word, of the deepest meaning of the word, madness, and preventing this woman. Never seen it. I've seen you with graduations, blue, purple, yellow. Never seen anyone standing for this woman in this university. Now I'm coming to Black Forum, to standing for blackness and black excellence, I suppose, and we don't talk about it. Let's talk about it. In my view, I think it is discrimination. In my view, I believe that it's not about incompetence. It is fundamentally about the fact that elements of chauvinism, all of that, think that a big university like this cannot be led by a woman. That's the starting point. Because if this university was led by a man, even if he was black and African, he would not be harassed like this woman has been harassed. Stand up for the truth, be threatened, and we must stand up and protest and make our voices to be heard. And I think that is important. That is my first point in terms of my greeting platform. And then the second point is that South Africa has produced post 1994 the black legislature in great numbers. And there are people who say that we have achieved what we have achieved on our own. It's got nothing to do with struggle and what we can call a revolution in this country. We have become the people that we are as young people because on our own we just became successful. It has got nothing to do with the process of struggle. Now, the ANC government consciously created the black legislature, not class, because a class is something that is defined against the means of protection. And nothing that says in terms of the strata, it has got anything to benefit from the means of protection. In the social stratification of society, of a special strata in terms of the development of our own society, to create this particular strata for the benefit of the revolution. It happened to be black and African. And that is what is important. So it is not something that happened on its own. It is because there was unconscious effort on the part of the ANC. If you like, which is not what we're talking about, you will say we were creating a black
brutal bond. And it was not a black brutal bond we're creating, it is a black magistrate. The brutal bond in this country, in terms of its evolution and the success stories we've got of state-owned companies which became successful, it is because of the fact that there was a conscious effort on the part of the Afrikaners when they came into power. People. And then the highest standard you can pass as black person was JC, undergraduate education. Makua as standard 3, another company. They will be done out of this world, which is trades. And then which in the process of amalgamation, we then in the unbundlement created Bobrasa today, for Transnet and all of that. That thing was one. The ANC then abandoned that thing and said, the other front company will deal with enterprise interest of the state. And the other one will deal with not enterprise interest, but public interest in terms of expansion of public transport for those who of our people, the poorest of the poor. And we called that the intervention of the state, which was a conscious decision of the ANC to do that. So these people, then they left, and then they ran away because we brought laws, we started to ask for qualifications and all of that. And then they disappeared in the system. So that is why the successful story of this company here in South Africa today, which went under liquidation, was created under South African Airways, was run by a person who doesn't have a break. He's a direct descendant of that old system of apartheid, which was the policy of the Britain. It deliberately affirmed their own. When the ANC came into power, then created this black ministry. And then most of our people went to school, passed, and all of that. And that's where they are today, to assume bigger responsibility. But what if our people do when they come into strategic positions? Instead of transforming the system transforms them. So that is why you are unable to defend one of your own in this university, who did not come here by accident, but those who got many powers and very powerful, they want a God. But you as black and African people, you're fighting a black on black violence. Because any one of you who are sent to a top position, you work within the system to bring them down. And you are not in a militant position to stand up even when an injustice is visited upon them. Because it's a black person and jealous. You know, this revolution wouldn't have reached this stage. We wouldn't be talking about if ever it was characterized by petty jealousies. Blacks are defined by petty jealousies. And the country is going in your hands when you think you are in charge. You are not in charge for next. You are not. You are not in charge. You've got degrees, you are educated, you've got all the other things. We have created this black ministry, that thing of itself. Makuwaka standard 3, they never thought of themselves. They understood Kikenika standard 3, Kyola standard 1. Paniker, Kiela Proba responsible, Iva Foromani, Muspurnetemo, Ushevawari, Maburu, the components 33. Paniker Kikiela, manager. And then they come and tell you that they've got experience to have run this country. Where will you get experience if you're not upheld by your own? And they tell you today that you don't have experience. And they tell you that is racialism. They tell you that affirmative action is backwardness. And they tell that employment equity is not something that we've got to entertain. South Africa must be what it is because blacks think they have arrived and that they are quite content for what they are, just a cream on top. And then that is it, and therefore they are in charge. And then we drop, titles, professors, and all of that. But what do we do about our titles to advance the cause of national democratic revolution? Here is a vice chancellor is being shot down in front of us. We do nothing about it because we will not do anything up until it is me who assent to that particular position. So, Black Forum, you've got an important task. AfriForum is building a university here in Pretoria, just across the mountains here. They build a university and they get that money from Afrikaners. And then they've got a township they call Oranje. They do everything there. So why do they build their own university when there is UNISA? Why? Che Guevara says young people must always be obsessed of thinking of why things are the way they are. So they build an Afrikaner university, they teach themselves, they say they need to preserve their own culture. And therefore, they need their own university. With their own money, they build it. And then we've got universities in and around us. That's what they do. And if ever there is a problem, and black people go to court to protest because a white man or an African man have done the following things and so on, you are being chastised that you are not civilized people and all of that. And this is what we talk about in terms of the historical evolution of this potato boycott. Because this notion of an indirect one is an indirect all is gone among us. Because we have arrived. We enjoy freedom. And this freedom is whole in a way. And to a point where we think that we can forsake and forego this freedom. They don't think like that. They go to elections, they vote every election without, even if they get a lower percentage, they don't give up. They don't. And they vote without faith. And yet, in less than 30 years, when we have been oppressed for 300 years, we think of changing. Because of a few blacks don't think straight when they come into power. Even within the ranks of the liberation movement. And where are our African intellectuals to participate and shape the destiny of our country rather than to forsake it? What happens to the black magistrator? It vaccinates. It begins to teach and tell our people that apartheid was better. They've never lived under apartheid. Majority of them. We don't know anything about apartheid. Apartheid was a mess. It was a big mess. It gave us the potato boycott, which is what we're talking about here today. So I'm saying Black Forum is a very important organization that have got its job cut out, and it is important that we need to support it in terms of the programs that you embark upon. The concept is right, and we need to awaken our people from the slumber and not believing that they have arrived. And the system is actually transformed to where they are today. And I think the book Capitalist Minga speaks to us about the black people and their attitude to success, about black people, their attitude to one another, black people and their attitude to wealth, black people, their attitude about upliftment and empowering each other. And I'm not talking race because we are a non-racial party. I'm essentially talking about what Thabo Mbeki was nearly killed in this country for saying there are two economies, if you remember. until today, if you can utter that, even among the advanced intellectuals and academia in the corridors of this institution, they'll tell you, maybe he was talking nonsense. And then he said there are two economies. There is one of rich and advanced, well-educated, and so on. And then he divided it, underprivileged, less educated, and then the means of bringing this together are completely, widened. And then you ask yourself, in 2023, we're talking about definite inequality. We saw it 10 years ago, and you think it can actually be overcome in 29 years. And they tell you that it can be. And that is what they say. In 29 years, we can overcome an inequality. Maybe characterize it long time ago. And they said that that is an Achilles heel of this nation. They said, no, that's not the problem. And then here we are as blacks, we believe that things could have changed even for better. Yes. Coming into power and at the same time not doing other things that we're supposed to do. It comes with the responsibility of accountability, which is important. But at the end of the day, do not forget that forsaken the revolution and the struggle simply by believing that things could have changed for better in less than 29 years. And I'm just putting it to you. And what has happened in this country is that we have now realized depth of ideas and initiative. Intellectuals, academia have surrendered their thinking capacity to Twitter. So that's where the real debate is going on Twitter. This globalization has been good to me, I must say. But at the same time, it has not been to majority of us in terms of the national debate. Because there's no more engagement. It's insults. We don't debate. When somebody starts to think and raise issues, that discussion you won't find it in the corridors of newspapers and talk shows in this country. I addressed a press conference yesterday and I spoke about the things we're talking about, triple BE. I spoke about the simplicity, of course, is the buzzword, it guys dancing nicely. So, I spoke about, in that particular press conference, about a whole lot of other things. I talk about inflation, I talk about the cost of living is too high, it's a problem. I talk about Ukraine. Nobody is even interested to analyze this Ukraine war. All people I see on Twitter, they say, what is Ramaphosa doing there when he's failing Africa? But nobody writes and say, what connects us with that? And then African leaders, they go for the first time after so many, and I said that to my president, you brought some hope, you guys in France. When you spoke for once, with one voice, whether that voice anyone can agree with it, I just liked it. When you got Macron changing, from red to whatever, and then I look at him there, he thought that we were just coming to get and go back home. It was not nice, man. I'm sure he regretted it. Where was I bringing these niggas here and all of that? And then they were on point. It's as though they cocker. And they did not. So that was a great inspiration from our leaders. And then I said, no, there is a future. So I'm saying this, things that are happening in the national debate in our country, where we have all surrendered our thinking capacity and everything to Twitter. Elon Musk is improving a lot from 140 characters to at least try to. If you want to analyze and engage, it's Facebook, but Facebook, you realize you're dealing with another Musk. So who's driving the national debate in the country? Who? Where we sit and engage and challenge each other, outside insults, and say, what are we talking about here? What are the issues we're talking about on any other matter that comes to the fore in terms of South Africa? So I'm there, and then I present all these things. I'm certain that this press conference is going to be hot. And actually, myself, I must be prepared to represent the ANC here. Hey, I'm coming with big stuff. The economy, trading game in this clause. What is really in our houses, where we walk, what we eat, how we feel. There's going to be fireworks here. We are live on television. I think about the branch here, ANC, just Western Cape, and the Uza and the Youth League, end of the conference. SG, the conference of the Youth League, they say, you did this and that. I said, these things I just talked to you about are not important. I mean, they are not of interest to you and the country which you must inform. You want South Africa to debate who's elected and how at the Youth League conference. How does that change the price of bread on Monday? That Connell is the president of the Youth League. It doesn't. And the cost of living and all of those things. Where are we heading to? We get called to debates. When we get there, there's another one, I think today, Mashlengi attended News 24. They want me there to go and speak. News 24 big debate. On the topic is about coalitions. What's going to happen next year? Are you really going with money? Even this debate about coalitions is shallow. Do you go with DA or with EFF if you drop below 50% in South Africa? That's the question you are asked, coalitions. It ends there. You are either with Malema or if you drop. That's the debate. So these discussions are not there. So we don't get called as politicians who represent political parties to be engaged on the political discussions and to be judged fairly on the basis of what we present in this discussion. About where are we taking, Balula, where are you taking the institute? Okay, we get called, we appreciate, and we appreciate the attack. Whether the attack changes how you think about us, I don't know, but we do appreciate to be on TV from time to time. And when you get there, you've got to be asked. Now, I see in an interview with a British person called at top. It is very hard to talk. And then I come to South Africa, I'm asked about the branch. I then realize what happened. From that British man who was very harsh, but really taking me to task. That I must prepare, I must be ready. And then I come home. And then I ask, what went wrong? All of that. So I'm saying, globalization has been good. We can connect with friends everywhere in the world. We can have smart gadgets. We can be good like that. But at the end of the day, it has also done us a disadvantage that we no longer read newspapers, we no longer write, we no longer engage. Because it's easy to wake up and answer a question in a paragraph or two on Twitter, and then they insult you back. Very few will be interested in what you say, and then it's gone. And then all what they're interested in is the looks. And I realized the people who post their looks, if they get a good audience. But when you come and try to think, that thing doesn't happen. And everywhere else, and then this thing, you see what is working. And so on. So I was saying in this press conference yesterday, when I criticized on behalf of the ANC, the behavior of the police, they say it's ANC police. I say no, police. Now I'm coming to the topic. The police cannot brutally act like that within the state. And then somebody for political reasons now try to define the past as separate from the state. And say, for somebody who argues for that, he says that these things are combined. ANC. I say, how does a policeman who's trained as a cop become ANC by day and government by night, and a cop when he's doing an operation like that one of beating up people on the road? Can't be ANC. And the ANC can't be quiet about it. And I'm happy today that those police have been suspended. And they must account. And that I think will be better. So, South Africans, nobody was engaging with that point of trying to understand what is the role of VIP protection. And then everybody else says that, no, that must be done away with. It's not important. And then we're compared with other countries where there is no crime. You know, when somebody compares the president of Finland with the president of South Africa, there's no crime there. The president can afford to go to work by bicycle in Finland. And I don't know what is the population, it's very less. And the standard of living there is totally different from ours. So if you were to compare the president of South Africa with DRC, when you deal with DRC, you can't move them. And then you say you must be like president of DRC goes to work with a bicycle. You will not be the president of DRC or any African country. So we are compared as a developing nation with a developed nation. That in this and that country, presidents are defined as this and that particular way. So in a democratic dispensation, you have set rules. What our politicians and people must behave. And nobody's made a favor here. We all have got to account for our part. It is correct. Politicians sometimes think that they own the law. They don't exist within the law. They own the law. And if the law sometimes, because of our political challenges, deals with Mbalula, who probably does it. You say it's politics. I can tell you that the weaknesses that you have is what those who are opposed to you in political cycles exploit. They exploit them. That you've got these weaknesses and they work on them. But first and foremost, you are responsible for your life. It cannot be that every time you are in trouble, society and the party must babysit you for your problems. You must get out of those problems on your own. But the rules must be defined by friends. And that's where the Black Forum comes in, and the AfriForum. The AfriForum wants to bring everything that is black and probably successful down. Their agenda to prove the system is wrong in the hands of black people. But the Black Forum must say, we will defend our own, but not on the basis of incompetence and recklessness. We will defend the best of the best. So that Mbalula does not hide beyond incompetence in the name of blackness. And then begin to say that, no, I'm being victimized here because one day I want to become president. Because you should become president and want to be president out of your deeds. For one thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, here in this country we have defended things that we were not supposed to defend. And I don't want to mention them because I'm now Secretary General. We were not supposed to defend. And you intellectuals, you should say, and which some of you I applaud. When that moment came, you stood up and said, this is not in my name. No, I can't go with this. Because Nina Nene was living. Tina Sinene Subu the Global, out of Banket. Don't not get them that way. Now you are professors. You need to lead the light into the eye. You must not tell that to those people who are branching, not you. This is nonsense. This is nonsense, and I'm telling you, 1, 2, 3. It's incompetence. I will never put up with that in the name of blackness or the revolution. And that is what we want. So, when we move ourselves and talk about integrity and all of that, we need to understand what we're talking about. We are not talking about romanticizing incompetence. You know, I could see Dr. Namani who was introducing me. He had a difficulty because he didn't know that he must finish not with minister, he must finish with who's not drilling. Because our kids are no longer going to be led by people who don't have anything. Come on. And then still talk about apartheid. You must now finish by saying, what the minister? Because we must go to school as we get into this position. We are thinking, we are That's the society we are building, and it's not discriminatory. It is a society that is real. It is the blackness we celebrate. It's the non-racialism we build within the system that has disadvantaged us. And in that seat, and we lay the rules and the processes that enable us to succeed. So that there's no one who said, and you, society and others will see. And Black Forum will be there to defend you. That our brother is being brought down because we can see. And nana ningeni into nafuneka nganinge. Ningeni into nibonayo nani ukuthi no. Yeah, we have been invited to war. So the 1959 program happened because people were deprived. Young boys were taken. Young boys were being taken and dressed naked and then taken to the farms to do this. Revolutionaries stood up and then exposed these atrocities, but it didn't add into that. Didn't end at that point. It meant that they must stand up and revolt, because that was a form of an injustice. Became the leaders of the time, organizing underground and did what they had to do. And that ushered in a period of defiance. Women came here to Pretoria, 1976, 1985. But this potato boycott from the farms, the downtrodden, have brought and ushered in our democracy, not just to think. As and when we shape the new dispensation and the kind of constitution we were writing at that time to enshrine even in its Bill of Rights the recognition of this thing called rights. That you cannot just trample upon people as if they don't have rights, and that is what actually happened. And the ANC championed that particular step. And this is what you're celebrating and commemorating here today. But you are commemorating this in the right place, the University of South Africa. And that is why I start with this long prelude. In summary, it says, the struggle continues. And that is what I was talking about. And we must then be reminded of that. And not romanticize the fact that we are black and all of that. Otherwise, we'll just become like civil rights organizations, which are very key, but in the United States of America, we are not that. We are dominant in this country. We are a majority. And we must never apologize for who we are, because we have to stand up. Apartheid was not abolished because they wanted to. They had no choice. Apartheid was crumbling, and it was institutionalized. Its laws, and some of the laws are still there, and so on. The power of the people, and I was saying when Prof was speaking here, black power, because the power of the people was overwhelming into the system such that the apartheid regime had to surrender. So there was no turning back. Everybody in the world was not with them, except America and the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan and them. But the rest of the world, the United Nations, was against them. So they had to surrender. Here at home, the defiance campaign, and our people now, every corner, every street were mobilized. And that is what is important. And our intellectuals, academia, themselves stood up and then said, no, enough, it is enough. We are counted on the side of the oppressed. So I'm saying that the repressive laws of apartheid were defeated by the people united. And I'm saying the story that inspires us today is that the struggle continues. We do have rights, and then we must protect worker rights and so on. And that is what is important for all of us in this country. So I'm just saying here that as I conclude, it is important to note as well the role of the journalist in the struggle for liberation, like Ruth First, who played a very important and prominent part in terms of exposing the atrocities of apartheid, particularly in Nepal. So this commemoration and celebration is very important. This defiance campaign injected radicalism, and it was in this context of this ongoing mass struggle, militancy, and defiance that laid the foundation of the event where we're celebrating today the 64th commemoration of the Bethal 1959 potato boycott. We are commemorating one of the most successful boycotts led by the African National Congress. The ANC did not only lead alone, it was in alliance with the South African trade unions, SACTU, then with SAIC, Indian Congress, with colored people's organizations. This combined front of forces came to be called the Congress Alliance. So the 59 potato boycott was ignited by the brutality, like we said, and abuse of Bethel potato farmers. This act of brutality and many others were the spark that was needed to initiate the 1959 potato boycott. One of the prominent leaders was Comrade Gert Sibande, after whom one of the districts in Mpumalanga is named after. Played an important role in organizing and exposing this. And this led to the defiance campaign of women, so on, the Sharpeville massacre, the boycott of Russian sport, and so on, 1976, 1986. We are commemorating not to head on the systematic introduction of repressive legislation. The contribution of the 59 potato boycott cannot be underestimated. It planted the seeds for laborers to fight for their rights and the establishment of a conducive working environment. The alliance led by the ANC championed the constitution that not only secured these rights, but guaranteed them the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the basic conditions of employment, labor relations, and many other pieces of legislation have provided non-negotiable rights for workers since the dawn of democracy. Some of the workers' rights include the right to strike, the right to form trade unions, the right to fair labor practices. These rights are buttressed by appropriate resources and tools of trade. They ensure that workers must have safe working conditions and receive the agreed remuneration on agreed date, to mention a few. It is important to state that the labor movement led by COSATU, among others, has achieved a lot for the workers since the dawn of democracy. These hard-fought rights need to be protected and guarded at all material times. The ANC as a disciplined force of the left, the party as the vanguard of the working class, and COSATU as the voice of the workers, must continue to work together to protect and advance the gains of the workers. An injury to one is an injury to all. It is more amplified by the recent legislative amendment on the employment equity to ensure parity across race and gender. It's not easy when a revolution and struggle is simply hijacked, like it is happening right now with all these parties like Solidarity and so on, and mobilized just on the race card. Here in Pretoria, white Afrikaners met, and then they spoke in their meeting, I think at Fort Trekkerhof in about 2 weeks ago. And then they said, what are we going to choose? They said, we must push them below 45%. So if we push them below 45%, what must happen to others? And what will happen to the ANC and so on? They said, no, we must work to push them below 45%. They met on their own. And then in that meeting there, they raised all sorts of fears that they have about this country. You know, white people and Afrikaners, and I retweeted on my tweet one who said, I went to Australia for 11 years. I came back, and I've been living in this country for about 2-3 years. I will never go back to Australia ever again. It's a white person. But the point is that, I'm not quoting in verbatim, that's what actually says. But if you go to my timeline, I'm not trying to say follow me on Twitter. I've got many followers. The story of this white person is the story that of 1994. White people in this country, they said in 1994 they were afraid of something called swart kafal. And then they packed others, they bought tin fish, they dig holes and all of that, because they said the danger is coming. And then many of them, they packed their things, they went to Australia, to stay in Australia. They left South Africa. So what this guy is saying, I'm in South Africa, as compared to where I went in Australia. So I saw white South Africans when I went to Australia and New Zealand with the Springbok. The stadium was full of South Africa. So I thought these South Africans are from South Africa, you know, and so on. Qantas airline. They said, no, they stay here. And then I met some of them in the pubs. Hey, they complained. We regret why we left. We were told that things are going to be bad. And that's it. Now, you see the African continent. If you go there, in the African continent, you go to the African continent, most of the cities and all of that, they have been revamped, construction and so on. The majority of people I've seen there are white Afrikaners working in these construction companies in the African continent. They are building cities, Equatorial Guinea, Nigeria, everywhere. In Dubai, most of the companies there come from South Africa, is white South Africa. So who are the people who have benefited a lot out of the new dispensation, including opening up markets in the African continent? It's not you. All what you've got here is the Tazcar, Toyota, and the Mudende, and all of that. But the wealth and the benefits of this trade with Africa and the opening up of markets is another race. I travel here on Ethiopia Airlines, it's full. It's white. I don't see you in those airlines. And then when I go to the Arab Emirates, I go there. Arab Emirates, I go to Qatar. There's a World Cup there. The person who organized the security in that World Cup is a policeman called Price, who was responsible for the World Cup in South Africa. Beautiful skills, nice skills and all of that, pulled together the World Cup. He pushed over there to organize that World Cup. And then when I asked them, they are expanding their airports, the best ATNS system, air traffic control. Who work in those air traffic control is white, young South Africans. Who has done that? The new dispensation. When I look at the numbers of people who are teaching mathematics and who are teaching English in the United Arab Emirates, numbers, they come from South Africa, majority is white South Africans. And then you've got the teachers here who know mathematics and all of that. They are not there. So who have benefited out of this new dispensation and the new democratic order that have opened relations with other countries? And then I asked ATNS, where are our young people? Why are they not here? So I didn't get the answers up until I came up with a plan that, look, I need these numbers to go up north in terms of these young people to gain experience and to be trained here in South Africa and to be dispatched there. I went to DRC. There are no airports in DRC. It's a big country. I went throughout DRC. They say, we want AXA to come here, we want to build airports. I say, I will bring AXA here, I will also bring you South African young engineers who are black. Now I've left. I don't know whether she will do it. But the Binational Commission must address that. So when you build airports in DRC, up to Goma and deep in the north of DRC, when we do that through AXA, our youth here must go and do that work. So we've got the best engineers in this country. And they build here in the African continent, they do all the work, and a lot of work. And then when you go to Syria, there is war going on. And then when you go to Ukraine, you know what the people who are fighting. Some of them come from South Africa, they are mercenaries from the old order. When you go to Iraq, you find them there. Old special branch, they get paid the exorbitant price. And then some of them are working in the coast, deployed there. and then fighting and rebels and all of that on behalf of nations and getting a lot of money. As mercenaries, they come from here in South Africa. Now, majority of them, they are not black and African. So I'm saying, if you look at what this new dispensation and who has benefited economically out of it, let's produce a paper and a research on that. You will realize that we just got the cream on top. But the main thing of what came with this new dispensation, because South Africa was a closed church. And then when we opened up, and many other nations said, come to us, the people who are going there is still the old order. And we are not there. And then Chigalana Namaterna, if you number 30%. And then we're just fighting for tenders. And then the tenders the real stuff is out there. You know, I go to the Department of Transport, and then I look at shipping, and then I look at maritime. I don't find blacks. And then I look at the investment, which will change now. Quiet, no tender, nothing, investment, unequal. But it's quite deep sea. Environmental Affairs Department, billions invested by the state, working together with the private sector there. Our people are not there. Or we are found in Sibela, happy tenders, as a Pico, Tswan, and all of that, we are not there. The real economy, where it matters most, we are not there. So, I'm raising these issues. I'm the Secretary General of the ANC. And I'm saying, yes, and I'm saying, I'm not going to stand in front of you like Umhete. You know Umhete, Utibufiwe, Ukala, Adani, Utayena Utude, Ukanisa Bantuadi, Aumekaitani. So Kanisa Babantuan, because Umhete, Aquapa Temple. But the person with faith, no one told you either believe these things can change because we've got praise, or I believe I've got faith to go to God. So I can't just cry endlessly. I've got hope that things will change for the better. So even ourselves, we can't just lament like we are not in charge. So things must change for the better. And you may think that change for the better in 30 years, they don't. They change for the better. For now, you have learned and what needs to happen. So unless then we are going to just become capitalist leaders. So our task and responsibility to remember the potato boycott and the Black Forum. We want to partner in this revolution of giving meaning to affirmative action, meaning to our people where they must go, and defending what is right that needs to be defended. And that is what we need from Black Forum, and we partner. And then let's partner equally in terms of the generation of ideas, and ensure that our people are not left in the periphery. This government is run by us. You know, people call me there, they say they complain about the DTI. I simplify, I say, I call the Minister of DTI and then tell me what are the obstacles and what do we need to do. And then we will address those obstacles from Julia. These universities, they are supposed to assist us with research and to be able to tell us, these are the universities that must assist us. There is another one that is opening next door that wants to change the status quo. This one must help us to change things, to come this direction. That one to change the present backward, we will defeat it if we get proper advice from this corridor. Rather than using this corridor corridors to bring one another, one after the other down. This university must help us to change things. Because we might be sitting at Lutulia House and everywhere else. You think we've got capacity we don't have. That research capacity will come from here. To say, SG, we heard you the other day, you were talking about this. Here is the seminar, we are giving you this thing, bring your ministers. I will bring you to the National Executive Committee. At least now, we are no longer talking things in that NEC about step aside, because the step aside is level. We are coming with better one line. Yeah, with better one line. Now kahanga nje. Dubeke ekaleni yaphumza. Nasemdlalweni iplayer ediniweyo ibekwe bench. So I put in the bench. So we don't interact with our intellectuals and institutions to help the transformation agenda. We have lost it. We have lost it, so to say, data shall come. When there is an election, SARS, Youth League, everybody, the intellectuals must come, we speak. And then we construct a manifesto, is done. The manifesto is there. The issue is, let's work. There's nothing new to be done now. What we've got is enough to change this place. That is what is important. So we need you with your skills to get organized and assist in the transformation agenda. If you don't assist it and you think the next person will, this thing is sinking. Our great-grandchildren and children will come and ask, what did you do about the country? They said, no, it fell in the hands of some Africans and Blackies, and they messed it up. We are in charge now. Let's not cry like Sinawahiti. Then potato boycott 1959 will not be in vain. We rely here for knowledge and power to transform this society. That's what is important. And then to inform our forward momentum and do away with petty jealousies and many things that are not good. So that's how we are going to take AfriForum. AfriForum doesn't end with negativity of politics. They've got a clear agenda of maintaining the African with whatever that they have. We don't have a clear agenda about how we change this country for everybody to participate. And that is what we need to do as a nation and as organizations. And everyone who loves this country as a patriot to make it work. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've had a mouthful and
Thank you very much.
that was profound. That was very powerful. I think Aksunobala, for no reason, he's got a plan and intellectually he's astute. What I could take is that, especially from Black Forum's point of view, the gauntlet has been set. We have a lot to do. And One other thing is that charity begins at home. And whether you are a farm worker or you're working in the offices of the university, when you're a black individual, Black Forum should work for you, regardless of the strata you follow. And one thing for sure, with what has been said, we really need to critically discuss our role in Black Forum and how
It charged for a while, but we had to take it out for space.
ensure that we succeed. As the intellectuals in here, as students, you have a big task ahead. As professionals, our task is daunting, but I think it can be done. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to catch up with time, as you can see that the program has been moved around,
I can't put it on.
I'd like to
I'm
call
going
to
to
the floor the
It's
executive mayor
interfering with.
of Transvaal District Municipality. He is also the executive mayor of the town where I come from, called Epetal, the town in which we are commemorating this. We call it Imazabane. It's just a translation of potato. I'd like to call to the floor is the Honorable Executive Mayor, Mr. Ngomezu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director.
That's one.
Black Forum South Africa.
That's off for dinner.
Very difficult to speak after our of the oldest liberation movement.
Since it's a little bit of a
As well as this in our midst, Comrade Fixing Masemula, our ADC member, is also deployed in Mpumalanga. And my colleagues in the RAC of Nkangala, they are also here. And in the interest of time, let me observe protocol as established. Well, I feel deeply honored, Program Director, to participate in this forum and reflect on the conflict between farm workers, farm dwellers, farm communities in South Africa, especially in the region. I'm also honored by the fact that I'm sharing platform with our Secretary General, who stood here, or who stands on the shoulders of the first Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Sol Plaatje, was very passionate about the struggle for land and the fight against this. We all remember his famous writing, awakening on Friday morning during the 1930s. The South African native found himself not actually a slave, but a career in the land of his birth. South Africa has by law ceased to be the home of any of her native children whose skins are dyed with a hue that does not conform to the regulation hue. He further expanded on the pain of this situation in his seminal work titled The Native Life in South Africa by writing, and I quote, "The goats are cruel, and one of their cruelest acts of omissions was that of giving us no hint that in very much less than a quarter of a century, all those hundreds of cattle and sheep and horses belonging to the family would vanish like a morning mist." He further said that they might have warned us that after Englishmen would agree with judgment to make it unlawful for black men to keep cows of their own. The gods could have prepared us gradually for sure. Close quotes. There's no better characterization, Program Director, of this problem than the one I've just highlighted. The conflict between farm workers, farm dwellers, and farming communities in South Africa is defined by this cruel act of dispossession. What we see in Hersibande district today and other parts of the country is a battle for land and cattle. And who are the rightful owners? We can call them crimes as it is a symptom, but as at the belly of this crisis is this characterization, and we can only resolve this conflict once we have resolved this problem of who owns land and cattle. Program Director, I must say
that behind the booming coal mining and agricultural sectors in Garsibande lie painful stories of abuse, forced evictions and criminality directed at farm dwellers and surrounding farm communities. There are many stories I can mention, one of which is that of the Silane family, which is engaged in a legal battle with mining giants Exaro, after the company bought the farm on which the family has lived for more than 60 years. The mining company tried to evict the family from the farm, but the family is challenging the eviction order and they are now living surrounded by mining operations. They have tabled a list of conditions to be met before they could leave the area, which included benefiting from business opportunities at the mine, but it appears the capitalist class which owns the farms is not willing to submit. We see that the family has informed many forums organized by authorities that they want to be compensated fairly for being evicted. As the legal battle continues, the mine continues to operate, and this poses safety risk and health hazard to the family and their livestock, and they are exposed to explosions, and their source of water for their livestock is being poisoned by the mine's wastewater. You see that the family is not the only family facing this problem. According to the local government, non-governmental organization, some 500 families in the province of Mpumalanga are in a similar situation and fighting eviction at the hands of mining houses and farmers. Many might know the story of the Koka family, brothers from Kondo, who were killed by farmers, but this is just one case. And unfortunately, on the 6th of June or so, the 4 murderers have been acquitted. For one reason, court says there's no evidence. We also know the miserable Hadebe family who have been living in a local community hall for almost 13 years after they were evicted from a farm where they had lived for over 100 years. Their livestock was stolen, their crops and seeds destroyed, and they were even shot at during the forced removal as if it was not enough. As the ANC government found alternative land and built them houses, but you'll understand they are not happy and they will complain that the land where they've been moved to is not available. Their story is one of the many painful stories of farmers banning farm dwellers from keeping livestock, poisoning water, grazing lands, shooting people and stealing livestock belonging to the farm dwellers. We also know of farmers who have been vandalizing graves in Mpumalanga or removing remains or reburying them in mass graves without following legal processes for grave relocation. Most of the families who live on farms are a product of the labor tenancy scheme, where people pay their rent through working for the farm. Other families say that the farmers found them in those areas and established farms in their ancestral lands. Some of these farms are subject of land claims which the Commission for Restitution of Land Rights are taking forever to conclude. And on that note, I wish to conclude my remarks in this House to say, as Garsibande, the city municipality and the ANC in the region of Garsibande, we will be partnering with the Black Forum South Africa so
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's good to know that the mayor where I'm from is working. Unlike some municipalities where there's no water. But I live in a glass house, let me not throw stones. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to catch up with time, I'll move swiftly along to the next speaker. The next speaker needs no introduction. Their story has been in national headlines with regards to the atrocities that their family has faced and suffered at the hands of white farmers in Bidwati. I can safely say with no contradiction and no fear that their family continues to experience apartheid living conditions and slavery-like working conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Kesa. To the podium.
Kaya pangkana. Tema kuja futhi ifonela khona ekhaya ngilete ngizwa ingane mawubele bafuna mangithi mina kwenzekani try khona ushithi kwabama shiba ngumshado lapho ayibhala
As angering as that may be, and as frustrating as it may be that they were not found guilty, I think it's incumbent upon the platform itself to study this carefully and maybe be on watching to appeal this completely unjust ruling. And as a show of support to the Boycott family, the platform has undertaken that it unveils the tombstones of the fallen brothers in September. This will stand as a symbolism against the deplorable working conditions of farm dwellers and farmers. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we reached the end of the program. We are about 30 minutes behind, but it seems like we're going to take a good time. I'd like to call to the fore Dr. Lidana to come Thank you very much. That was the presentation.
Good evening, comrades. Wow. Good evening, comrades. I thought you guys would be more alive, especially after this Mr. Joker. So can I please try again? Good evening, comrades. Thank you. I think we can all agree that we needed today. Because it's one thing to it's one thing to watch on the news about these incidents and you don't see a person face to face. But when you see them and you see the pain in their voice, in their eyes, it hits you. So please forgive me for that, comrades. But I would like to acknowledge the Black Forum South Africa executive and members and the leadership of yeah, I'm a little bit all over the place, but yeah, it's one of those days. You are a So yeah, today we were really honored by the South Academy. We were also honored by Mr. Malula and Dr. Dixon Masamula, and of course, each and every one of you. Today, we look back to the 1959 boycott, which Mr. Malula indicated that it's one of the successful boycotts in South Africa. And unfortunately, it happened because of the injustices that we have experienced in this country. When Advocate Malula went through the objectives of Black Forum, we all saw how this organization is trying to close the gaps within our society. It took us through the divisions within the organization. And can I please with all of you to country. Other African countries are actually experiencing. And at least on our side, we are doing something about it through the Black Forum. And Advocate, I always have a problem with the first black person, the first female, because what that means, it means that person focused on themselves and they didn't hold someone else's hand and they got to the finish line alone. To me, that doesn't make sense. Why are we celebrating that when we are supposed to be a collective? And when you look at Black Forum South Africa, it's a very selfless organization. It's always putting the interests of Black people at the fore. And therefore, I plead with you to support the organization. And Mr. Mgomezulu, thank you so much. We are looking forward to working with you. And I hope we can make a change within our society. To the South African for what you I can't imagine
what we had to do on a regular basis.
N1.
That Black Forum South Africa intervened in terms of the judgment that happened last month, and in the end, we find justice. To the program director, thank you so much for steering the ship. Really appreciate your work as always. And have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must say, such events are necessary and thought-provoking, when they get so emotional, it's understandable as to why emotions seem to overflow, because the pain is real. It's not pain that you see on TV, it's the pain that you experience. And therefore, it is indeed understandable. It shows that even members of the forum feel the pain themselves, because it's one of them that is suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, I was remiss in my duties earlier on to not mention Prof. Madelele, the VP of Facilities here at UNISA. Prof, my apologies, Mrs. Thank you for the correction. Your presence is really noted as well.